Hi, my name is Amy Roberts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Arizona State Constitution and specifically initiatives and referendums. To define initiatives and referendums, an initiative is a voter-led proposed amendment to the Constitution or state laws that is then voted upon by the citizens of the state. And a referendum is also an amendment to the Constitution, but it is initiated by the legislature instead. So the process to create an initiative involves voters drafting the initiative. They don't get any help from the state with this. It's 100% on them. And once it's crafted, then it goes about the process of getting signatures. Signatures requirements for initiatives are 15% of the total voters that were from the last gubernatorial election. And that's for a constitutional amendment. For a statutory amendment, it would be 10%. So once they get those required signatures, then it is deemed ballot worthy. And the amendment goes on the ballot and then voters vote by majority vote, and then it is either approved or not. Referendums are initiated by the state legislature. So they draft an amendment and then they will have to vote both houses on that, the House and the Senate, and it has to be approved by 2/3 majority. And then it goes ultimately, and then it is ballot worthy, and then it goes to the voters and the voters vote, and it's either approved or it dies. So those are the processes for both initiatives and referendums. In comparing the two, there are, the initiatives are written by the voters, and they can be, according to Tori McClory's book, Understanding the Arizona Constitution, they can be pretty rough because they're just drafted by the common citizen. And then referendums are drafted by professionals, often politicians and people with legal backgrounds, so they can be more finessed and refined and kind of free from loopholes and that sort of thing. So talk a little bit about the positives and negatives of initiatives and referendums. One of the positives about the initiative process is it allows constituents to have a direct impact on how their government operates. The signature requirement is really high for initiatives. So it's a check system for any frivolous or knee-jerk, and changes that they want to make because it is so arduous. But so they don't use it lightly because it is a lot of work. So today, according to Arizona.gov, the state website, the number of signatures that would be required for a constitutional initiative would be 383,926. For a statutory initiative, it would require 10%, which would be 255,949 signatures. So quite a lot. So initiatives take more time, and referendums are a much more streamlined process. One of the disadvantages of initiatives is that they aren't expertly drafted, so they can have unforeseen loopholes or detrimental consequences or interpretations that don't necessarily appear with referendums. So referendums are much easier to pass, and that is the primary vehicle that Arizona Arizona voters have chosen to enact change. The initiative process is not as common. And then in the case of constitutional referendums, those are the preferred and more accepted ways of enacting change. So for statutory referendums, lawmakers can draft a bill, and it can go one of two ways: one to the voters in a referendum, or it can go straight to the governor. So if they fear that they're going to get a veto, they might go ahead and do it as a referendum to the voters and then hopefully get approval for what they're looking for. So they also, I feel like referendums, lawmakers can manipulate things in a way, kind of, because they might have a hotbed issue that initially wouldn't pass with voters, and then they kind of let the dust settle and things die down, and then they bring it up again. And then I kind of think this is a positive and a negative, that they can sort of, if their referendum is, I'm sorry, if an initiative is passed and it's actually a detriment, then lawmakers can propose an opposing referendum and kind of confuse things and circumvent that from being added to the Constitution or state law. So how they impact direct democracy, they are an essential component of how direct democracy works in Arizona. They are voter-led, voter-approved. Even the ones in referendums, the changes that aren't voter-led, they're ultimately voter-approved. So any changes proposed in this way are going to live or die by the voters. So that's direct democracy, is they are in control of that. And they are an essential component of the Arizona State Constitution and provide citizens with an ability to impact their daily lives.